The most recognizable aspect carnival in Venice is the mask still during the week-long festival and celebration. Originally, the purpose of the mask was to hide a person. This would make it impossible to tear the mask with social links, so people could interactively equip each other. For example, a nobleman might dance with a peasant woman. Once carnival was over, people took off their masks and returned to their normal lives, and nobody's reputation was ever affected by the events of carnival. The mask was such an important part of carnival that the government made special laws for mask makers. The laws basically made sure mask makers didn't have to worry about anything except making the beautiful mask. This way, mask makers could put more effort into the making each mask a unique work of art. The mask is maintained where the chance to create a new identity for a short time.
The Golden Age of England began in 1558, when Queen Elizabeth took the throne. Prior to Elizabeth, King Edward became sick and died before he had any children, so Edward's sister, Princess Mary, became queen in 1553. She ruled England with her husband, Philip II of Spain. Together, Queen Mary and Philip planned to turn England into a Roman Catholic state. But when Queen Mary also got sick and died, anything changed. Elizabeth became queen. At first, people thought Elizabeth would not be a strong ruler because, unlike Mary, she had no husband. But Queen Elizabeth would soon change the opinion. One of the first things Elizabeth did as queen was to change her harsh religious laws Mary Philip has passed. Elizabeth thought that people's freedom and happiness was more important than the religion, so he let the people follow whatever religion they believe in. In the same way, she didn't let religion stop arts and entertainment. During her leadership, England was full of music, dancing, theater, and sports. In fact, it was during her rule and Shakespeare, the great English writer of the time, worked and thrived. By this time, Philip was back in Spain and was the most powerful king in Europe. He planned to take England by force, so he was getting a large navy of warships to attack England. Philip and many others believed England would be easier defeated, especially since it had no king. However, under Elizabeth's leadership, England achieved perhaps its greatest victory in the war. It defeated Spain. Due in part to its victory, England would become the next greater world power of the time.
When we think of the Wild West today, we think cowboys and Indians. We think Indian war parties were taking helpless white settlers. And just before Tuesday is late, a few cowboys come and rescue the settlers. Since like one have become symbolic of the West mainly because of the man Buffalo Bill. Buffalo Bill started his own West West show and invented the Wild West for audience who attended his shows. In fact, it is basically the same Wild West we know today, but just now actual Bill this section of the Wild West. Buffalo Bill became famous while helping the U.S. Army during the big wars in 19th century. But when the Indians wars are over and no longer enemy, so the Buffalo Bill started working with the Indians. He asked them to join his hunting parties for the naturalists who wanted to buffalo hunt. Working with the Indians made Buffalo Bill very popular, and newspapers eventually started writing stories about him. But the writers did not buy hunts. They made stories about Buffalo Bill's fight with Indians instead. These stories became so popular that Bill decided to make a show with his Indian friends about the Wild West. They took their show and of the America and Europe, and they showed cowboys and Indians fighting, just like in the stories. But Buffalo Bill knew it just show. He didn't really think his friends were bad. In fact, he thought the Indians did nothing wrong. Bill thought the government had treated the Indians poorly. Unfortunately, most of the audience didn't know what he really thought, and they believed that Buffalo Bill's Wild West show was real.